My husband told me my art was a cute hobby, something to keep me busy while he did the important work of making money. Then his firm paid six figures for one of my paintings to hang in their new corporate lobby. The best part? He was the one who championed the purchase. He just didn't know he was buying it from me. Here's how I turned my greatest humiliation into his most expensive decoration. My name is Clara Vance, and I am 42 years old. For 15 of those years, I was the wife of Marcus Thorne, a man who moves millions of dollars before most people have had their morning coffee. I was a corporate lawyer once, but I gave that up to support his career, to run our home, to raise our children. I became a supporting character in the story of his success. When the kids got older, the house grew quiet. I started painting again, something I'd loved in college but had packed away like a box of old sweaters. It was more than a hobby. It was me clawing back a piece of my own identity from the life I had given to him. My studio was a converted guest room. My canvases were my quiet rebellion. The wound wasn't a single event. It was 1,000 tiny cuts. But there was one night that bled more than the rest. We were hosting a dinner party for his firm's managing partner. Marcus was holding court, all charm and tailored suits. The partner, a polite older man, asked me what I did with my time. I mentioned my painting. Before I could say more, Marcus let out a short, dismissive laugh. He told the man it was a cute hobby, something to keep me occupied. He said he thought it was important for women to have little projects. Then he delivered the kill shot, looking right at me with a condescending smile. He said that while he admired the effort, we both knew my art was destined to live and die in the guest room. He said it with the casual cruelty of a man who had completely forgotten I was a person with a soul. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just smiled. Because in that moment, the love I had for him finally died. And in its place, something cold and sharp began to grow. I wasn't just angry, I was done. And when I'm done, I get strategic. The divorce was quiet and efficient. He thought my request for a speedy no-fuss settlement was a sign of defeat. He didn't realize I was just liquidating my past to fund my future. I didn't want the house, I wanted capital. I moved into a small, light-filled loft in the Arts District, a place that was entirely mine. And I began to build my blueprint. While he was upgrading his car and his girlfriend, I was building a new identity. I created a pseudonym, Evelyn Glass. No online footprint, no connection to Clara Vance. Evelyn was an enigma. She was a serious artist. While Marcus was hosting parties, I was in my studio until 3 a.m, with paint under my fingernails and rage fueling my brush strokes. While he was networking on the golf course, I was networking with a quiet, ferociously smart art consultant who understood the world I wanted to conquer, the world of corporate art, the world of big walls, big budgets, and CEOs who buy art not for love, but for status. His world. The war started with a single calculated strike. My art consultant, acting on behalf of the mysterious Evelyn Glass, began to approach newly funded tech startups, companies run by people who wanted to look sophisticated. Attack. We targeted a company that was a direct competitor to one of Marcus's biggest clients. Counterattack. My consultant secured a small commission for their main conference room. It was my first sale. The check was modest, but the victory was monumental. The painting was featured in a trendy online design magazine. My new name, Evelyn Glass, began to whisper through the right circles. The escalation came 6 months later. A major law firm, my old one, ironically, was redesigning their offices. They wanted a statement piece. My consultant pitched them. Marcus, through his own network, heard that his ex-wife's old firm was about to spend a significant amount on a piece by some new unknown artist. I know for a fact he called a partner there and laughed about it, calling it a frivolous expense. That was his attack, mocking my new profession from the sidelines. My counterattack was the sale. Evelyn Glass sold a massive diptych to the firm for 5 figures. The piece was unveiled at a firm event, and the city's business journal wrote a small piece about it. Now, Marcus wasn't just laughing. He was annoyed. He saw it as a sign of financial irresponsibility in his world. He still had no idea he was annoyed at me. The checkmate was a masterpiece of poetic justice. Marcus's firm, Thorne Capital, was moving its headquarters to a new state-of-the-art skyscraper. It was the physical embodiment of his ego. The centerpiece of the new multi-story lobby was to be a single, monumental piece of art. It was a project Marcus himself was overseeing. The design committee wanted something bold, an investment. They wanted the hottest new name in corporate art. They wanted Evelyn Glass. My consultant handled the entire negotiation. She told me Marcus was ruthless, trying to lowball the price for this overhyped artist. But his committee overruled him. They wanted the prestige. The final price was $150,000. I spent 2 months creating the piece. I poured every ounce of my humiliation, my anger, and my cold, triumphant victory into that canvas. It was the best work I had ever done. The firm threw a lavish gala to celebrate their new headquarters. The climax of the evening was the unveiling of the artwork. Marcus stood on the stage, a glass of champagne in his hand, and gave a speech about the importance of vision, of bold investments, of building a legacy. He talked about the magnificent piece behind the velvet curtain, a symbol of Thorn Capital's power. Then he introduced the head of the design committee to say a few words and introduce the artist. I stood at the back of the room, watching the man who told me my art would never leave the guest room. The curtain fell. There was a gasp from the crowd. The painting was magnificent. It was huge, powerful, and it dominated the space. The committee head beamed, and then she announced that, in a wonderful surprise, the artist herself was able to join them tonight. She asked for a round of applause for the brilliant Evelyn Glass. And then I walked out of the shadows and stepped onto the stage. I didn't look at the crowd. I looked right at Marcus. The color drained from his face. The champagne glass slipped from his fingers. He understood. He had personally signed the check that validated my entire existence and hung his own humiliation on the wall for the entire world to see. Funny thing is, the painting is still there. It's the first thing he sees when he walks into work every morning. It's the last thing he sees when he leaves. He told me my art would never sell. Now, his company wires a payment to my corporation every quarter for the lease of another one of my pieces in their boardroom. He just doesn't know that lease is with me too. He thought he was the artist of his own success. He just learned that I'm the one who owns the gallery.